Hello everybody, good evening once again from Dhammaloka on Wednesday night. Welcome along to the people here, and also welcome to the people looking in on the internet. My name's Dennis, and sitting alongside me here tonight I have Louisa, who's going to give us a hand again tonight with the meditation. She'll also give us a little bit of a rundown on the care group. Would you like to do that first?
Oh, yeah, sure. So the care line, some of you would know that, some of you don't know it yet, but we have a care line established. And as we speak, there are 2 listeners out in the back there in the booths, waiting for any calls to come in. And it is established for you, but also for themselves to be able to be of service. So if you have any hesitation or it feels weird around sharing, that's totally normal. So we're so busy these days, and it's not always you find a space to be able to share. Your family is busy and your work is busy and this needs to be done and we have a shopping list and this is just a really beautiful opportunity. It's for free and the phone number is here on the screen, as you can see. It's open for the next 3 hours, and if you're watching this on repeat, know that the care line is open Wednesday, Thursday and Saturday. We're 8 hours ahead of GMT. But just give it a try if you're not sure, because if we're closed, you'll hear an answering machine. I would like to motivate everyone to phone in, and not just because you have an issue but also just maybe you want to share something that happened at work, like a small win or a small concern, or you want to just vent some frustration. And this is a safe space because everything stays confidential. We don't know who you are, where you're from. So anyone who phones in from wherever in the world, this is a service for you to take a few minutes out of your time to be listened to, which is very rare in this world. I spoke to another lady back in Singapore last week, and she said it should just be normal. It should be normal to be able to also share about great things that have happened to you, or not just feel small. And well, she didn't say not feel small, but not feel like I only can share important stuff. No, everything is important, everything is allowed. So hope you find at some stage when it suits you the urge to call. It's a landline, so it can be reached from Skype. And and till then, enjoy this meditation if you're tuning into this, but know that we're still open for another hour after the meditation has finished. So if you want to share anything else, feel free to maybe leave it in the comments if you're more of a writer. So that is my little spiel about the care line, and like I said, there's 2 people waiting there. And I'll pass the mic back on to Dennis now for the talk of this evening.
Thank you, Louisa. Tonight I'm going to just continue this little series of talks that I've been doing, just in ways of finding little snippets of gold that the Buddha gave to us, just to be able to make our meditation work better, to be able to make it sing. And tonight I'm going to just talk about the 10 Paramitas. because the 10 Paramitas, it's a Pali word that really means perfections, 10 perfections. So the wonderful way that I like to use these perfections is really when I'm dealing with the hindrances to meditation. So when you find that when you're maybe losing your concentration, or you can't keep the meditation object in view for a time that you would expect that you might be able to, or when there's actually other issues or things that arise for you that might be causing you trouble. Because in actual fact, with the hindrances, there's 5 of the hindrances. I always sort of smile to myself with the way that the Buddha did all these. I've got pages and pages of lists that the Buddha made for all different kinds of situations. But the hindrances to meditation basically are 5 things, and they first 2 come in 2 pairs. And the first hindrance is really the hindrance of desire. So that's wanting to go out and grab onto, to cling on to things, to grasp onto something. You just sit down for meditation and all of a sudden, I'm feeling hungry now and I'd like that, whatever your heart's desire might be, there will perhaps show itself to you. But desires come in all sorts of forms and run right across the whole spectrum. It's really it's really the bread and butter of what it is to be human, isn't it? To want things, to be able to sort of grasp onto things. But the immediate thing that you do that, you also then encounter the second hindrance. And the second hindrance is basically just aversion, just the opposite of desire. So in this case, you're really wanting to get rid of things, wanting to shun it away or get rid of it. So these two things, desire and aversion, are really perfect candidates really for where we can work with the Paramitas. But just to following on with my thought with that, the third and the fourth hindrance, of course, is restlessness and sloth and torpor. This is really more about the energy that's in your body. So, that certainly does still apply to the Paramitas as well. It can apply. I was thinking more, though, to address them more to the desire and the aversion side of things tonight, and also to the doubt, which is the fifth hindrance. The fifth hindrance that the Buddha talked about is just basically doubt. And doubt is basically overcome in the end by just developing confidence in your practice. So when these hindrances arise, there's generally 3 things that you can do with yourself when one of these hindrances that you recognise. It's something, and it'll be something that comes up for you that may be something that happens to you all the time. It might have become a bit of something that's always there every time you sit, or it might be just something totally out of the blue that comes along. But there is usually always one of these paramitas that you can sort of balance these things against. So just coming along with these 3 ways of dealing with the hindrances, the easiest way and the most simple way, if it can happen for you, is just to ignore it, just to ignore whatever the hindrance is that's come up. And that would be probably the best way to do it. Just ignore it. So you just cut through wherever you've gone to and then just come back to your meditation object. Come back to the breath, or if you're focusing on the stillness, coming back into the stillness. So that's the first way. The second way is if there's a hindrance that's sort of causing you grief in your meditation. It might be, just for an example, it might be like pain in your knee or pain in your back, and you've already perhaps attempted to shift position or just to make yourself more comfortable, but that hindrance still persists. So the second way of dealing with that is really just to try and make that hindrance the meditation object. So you might want to just allow yourself to become aware of, say, if it's pain in your knee or pain in your back, pain anywhere really in your body, and just really focus on it, concentrate on it, turn that into your meditation object. You put your mind right inside. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it moving? Is it throbbing? And just paying it all the attention that you can do. And usually you'll find when you do that, in a lot of instances, once the hindrance has been taken notice of, it'll usually just disappear, and then you can just naturally come back to your meditation object. I mean, with that one, the thing that really sticks in my mind is really more the emotional issues that come up. Sometimes, you can maybe be meditating. I mean, I'm sort of aware of this one. You're meditating away, and then all of a sudden there might be some issue that comes up with anger. You might have thought of something, oh, he did that to me, she did that. And all of a sudden anger arises. Now this is a classic one to actually use with the second method of doing it, because you can easily then, I think, say, oh, this has arisen in me, I'm sort of feeling this way. So you can go inside yourself and you can focus on that anger. If it's manifesting in your tummy, as it usually does for me when I get angry, it's usually just putting your attention into the tummy here and just sort of noticing how troublesome it is for you, how it kind of twists you up, and how it causes tension, twisting and causing you all sorts of grief and even pain. It's very painful actually to be angry. And the sort of the natural, I think, inclination, once you actually see that, once you start to notice that inside yourself, you can easily just say, well, I think I'll just let that go. I won't persist with that, because even though it might have been another person that sort of made you cross or made you annoyed, but you start to see the way that you kind of keeping the whole thing going inside yourself, and the other person's not even here anymore. So you're kind of doing this to yourself in a way. So that's the second way of dealing with it, and that can be applied to most of the hindrances that come up in our minds during this meditation process, I think. That's the second way of dealing with it. The third way of dealing with it is usually when there's conditions that arise that are a little bit more systemic. So that might be a habit that you've developed over many years, maybe even lifetimes for that matter. I'm just thinking, and I'll come on to what I was just thinking in a minute anyway there with that one. But just these systemic sort of issues are really very, very classical issues that you can use the perfections with. I'll just sort of read these 10 perfections out for you, just so that you know what they are. So the first one's dana, which in Pali, dana is giving. It's generosity. It means being generous. And actually, just in this, what I was thinking about before, what just sort of ran through my mind when I was thinking about this, is sometimes in my meditation, especially earlier on, not so much now, but in the past, I'd sort of get this really miserable attitude towards myself and towards maybe even others, just that kind of miserly kind of feeling. And it's really quite painful and quite debilitating, really. It's sort of, it can literally just stop the whole process of meditation. But I found that just when I kind of realised this with the spiritual quality, these paramitas, that first one there of dana, the generosity, once you can actually take that generosity and actually set it against that misery, that miserableness, it kind of balances it out. And that's sort of how you use these paramitas to balance out these issues and problems that sort of come up for you. The second one is sila, which is basically just morality. And I might just say about that one, morality, we have a lay teacher that's come here a few times to teach. He's in actual fact the Buddhist Society's lawyer. He actually does all the work that he does for us pro bono. He's a wonderful man and a very, very good meditation teacher too. His name is Doug Solomon. But I've just in talking to Doug over the years, he has a lot of students and knows a lot about meditation. He's practiced probably now for 30, 40 years doing this. But he was telling me that whenever students come to him with some sorts of problems, he says 9 out of 10 times It's an issue with sila, an issue with, the basic morality, and that's just things. Because when we're looking at these moral questions too, we're never in Buddhism. I don't think we ever try to be like goody two shoes or try to be, more pure than the heavenly beings. We're kind of usually looking at moral issues in a fairly, I think, realistic way, because it is, all these moral questions are on a spectrum. There's, and you've got extremes at either end, really, of the spectrum. Extremes where you can take moral questions to the nth degree, and then be sloppy with them down to the nth degree the other way. But the idea, really, I think, with morality is to really have a nice balance. I think that's really what the Buddha meant when he brought these moral questions into question. It's certainly morality is a big part of the Eightfold Path. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood are the three factors in the Eightfold Path. But having a morality really that's kind of good enough, good. That's so that you're not trying to be something that's sort of impossible to be as a human being. Say personally, I've been a vegetarian for many years, and I like being a vegetarian. It's kind of gives, but equally, I know a lot of my friends aren't vegetarians, but you don't want to. I don't really want to sort of castigate them or make an issue out of that, because every one of us has our own kind of agency, if you like. We all have got to make our own decisions and choices around things. And, I could make a big deal out of all of that, as I know some people do, but, in actual fact, with vegetarianism and eating meat, the Buddha didn't ever forbid monks eating meat. The only time he did forbid it was when meat had been killed or cooked especially for them. Then they're not allowed to take it. But if they are just eating, say, meat off the table of an ordinary family, well, then that is acceptable to take as a monk. There are a lot of monks that are vegetarian, I might say too. But essentially that's the way that the Buddha saw it. It's kind of a realistic. I think it's sort of like a realistic morality. But anyway, this is something that we all need to work out for ourselves. We all need to be able to have our own, just to see what works for ourselves when we're working with these sorts of things. Just to see where on the spectrum we're going to, is it totally wrong to take the boss's pencil home from work, or what is a white lie? Is a white lie? Sometimes a white lie, I personally think that sometimes a white lie might be very good to say or to do. So there are all these sorts of questions, really. Even at our monasteries, we have this first precept not to kill. And there are times, though, when even our monasteries or here in the kitchens here, we get infested with cockroaches or things that shouldn't be in the kitchen, things that really, if they were allowed to continue on, the health department would come and shut us down. So even with questions like this, there are times when you've got to make choices that you don't want to make. You certainly don't want to make them, but you because we're caught in this condition, we really need to do it. So, when this has happened, say, at any of our monasteries, or happened, well, certainly in my home too, where you need to maybe do something to eradicate vermin like that, you you perhaps do it and you take responsibility for it, but then you try to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Like at our monasteries, we try and make sure that there's no cardboard boxes where cockroaches are going to sort of breed and things like that. You sort of take responsibility in that way. So these are all judgments that we can make, on those moral grounds, just with the sealer. But sort of setting a certain level of morality, if you're not kind of seeing things quite straight. As I was saying, Doug Solomon thought that this is probably one of the main things that people would bring to him with regard to their practice, that he would, he would have to counsel them about. The third one is nikama, which is renunciation. So being able to have that quality to renounce, just to let go, to not continue on with something that maybe shouldn't be continued on with. And as lay people, I mean, with our monastic sangha, well, of course, they've got their rules and all of the rules that the monks and nuns have got to live by. So that's relatively easy there in terms they know what they've got to renounce. But for lay people, we can fairly look at things like that. And certainly, if there's things going on in your meditation where you're perhaps doing something or participating in something that maybe is not, you can see is causing trouble for your meditation, well, then this perfection is probably a good one to look at. The fourth one is panna, which is wisdom. So wisdom, that's fairly straightforward. So applying wisdom to the issues that come up in your meditation as well. The fifth one is virya, which is energy. And energy's a really a wonderful thing too. I noticed that in myself, actually, just that in the first instances when I was sort of learning to meditate, it was how very easily you could just sort of slump down, and because you're used to just doing that, just slumping down and sort of just, and then you kind of lose heart, and you kind of, but as you kind of realise this, you can sort of put energy into your body, and that's just, it is such an important factor too, because that's another factor in the Eightfold Path. That's one of the meditation factors, where you've got right concentration, or right samadhi, right mindfulness, and right energy. So the Buddha mentions that everywhere, just that energy, just getting that right energy into your body, just making sure that your body's nice and straight, and it's balanced, that the energy's nice and balanced. You're not pushing too hard to make yourself sore, but you're just resting comfortably but firmly, and using the energy in that way. But there's lots of other ways, lots of other things in the way that you're living your life, and the way that the paramis, the hindrances might be causing you trouble. That where you can use this parami of energy. The sixth one is patience, patient endurance. I mean, that one's fairly obvious, isn't it, too? Really, just where you can just think of, well, this is a parami that really could be useful, so just to sit patiently, or just when you're getting really bored, I can't stand this anymore, when's that bell going to go? It's just not, this is not right. But just developing that sort of stillness and as the contentment starts to come, especially in that balance between the grasping and the aversion, the desire and the aversion. When that becomes nicely balanced, then that contentment just arises. And we might look at that a bit in the meditation that we do in a minute. And Kanti, Kanti, that's patient endurance. And then honesty, sakka, honesty. So this is, again, something that you may notice, just something where you may be trying to trick yourself a bit in meditation, where you're finding something coming up that you know is not sort of serving you well in terms of of the way that your practice is going. It's just really maybe to think of the parami of honesty, just looking in to see whether you are kind of addressing it wholeheartedly in an honest way with yourself. Because sometimes it is easy to trick yourself, isn't it? I mean, it's probably nice sometimes to think you can get away with something like that. But in the end, you know, if you're not honest with yourself, it usually does come home to haunt you in the end, doesn't it? So it is one of the perfections anyway, the seventh one. And then Adina Dana is determination, being determined to sort of see this through and to not let it go. And it's just, I think the Buddha's teachings are really just so profound, and as you kind of start working with them and start to seeing the truth in them, the truth of dukkha, and the way that it sort of affects us in our lives, and I think just the basic common sense, the common sense of the way that the Buddha's teachings are, because they are in a way kind of like, it's, you know, I think they follow along quite well with the scientific method where, you know, they're kind of provable to yourself. You can sort of look inside yourself and see whether or not these things are working or not working. So they are kind of in a way provable. You can sort of see it. It's not, we're not trying to do something that's, because in many ways it's just come into my mind there is that this idea of Buddhism is it's a religion that's discovered. Each one of us discover the truth of these Buddhist teachings inside ourselves. It's not revealed like some religions are, you know, like the priest or the minister or the leader will kind of reveal little bits, you know, and as you get further along, a little bit more will be revealed, a little bit more. It's not a religion like that at all. This is a religion where you discover what the Buddha talked about inside yourself. It's up to each one of us to do that, to discover it, because nobody else can do it for you. It's just something that we all have got to work with in a personal way, just to know that we're looking at it correctly. So just having that determination to sort of see it through, to once you kind of realise this is the Buddha's onto something here, this is really good, and then have the determination to sort of follow it through, just the sati and the panya, the mindfulness and the wisdom, just to be determined to keep the practice going. And all that you can sort of bring into these hindrances that come. The ninth one is metta, which is loving kindness. I mean, everybody knows, I think most people that practice Buddhism, and indeed Louisa will, I'm sure, give us a very good rendition of metta again tonight. But loving kindness is just so important. So there's just being kind to yourself, just that thing that Ajahn Brahm emphasises so much too. There's certainly love in there, but there's a kindness that goes with it that makes the whole thing so real. So metta is loving kindness. And then the 10th one is upekkha, which is equanimity. I also had written there humility, but equanimity just means that really things are so balanced. So when you kind of you can see something in your practice that's maybe a little bit out of balance, just to bring equanimity in. Equanimity, I think, is really a bit like the crowning glory of all of the Buddhist teachings, you know, that this wonderful balance that you can bring into your life, this balance that allows you to come very, very close to the present moment, allows you to really see deeply into the present moment and uncover it more and more. And we do that, as I was saying, I wanted to just sort of emphasise that a little bit more too, just the idea of us doing it for ourselves. Because in many ways we are separate beings. We're doing all this work separately for ourselves, but in other aspects of life in this universe, though, we are together. We're connected. And there's a great paradox, I think, in there sometimes. It sometimes gets quite confusing, you know, when even just the process of life and death, and when death comes, when you see a friend die or your parents die or people that you're close to die, and just that the separation from someone when they die, and just the angst and the grasping nature of the mind. Oh, I want them back. Oh, but unfortunately though, that's just not the way nature is. It's just not the way that the world is. The world is just this way that we see it. And the Buddha has set out his pathway here to show us all this very clearly, just that we need to be able to see the way that this works. And when we're looking at this question, this paradox of us being separate but at the same time connected, I think the only time that really that starts to resolve itself is when we do start to get close to the present moment, as we start to practice our meditation and we get deeper and deeper into the stillness. And it's actually the still consciousness. It's really only then, once you start to really fully understand the still consciousness of mind, that you really do then start to understand the way that we are connected. Because it's actually the still consciousness that connects us. But as that still consciousness builds and aggregates into the different forms of life that we attach to, that we grab onto, this is really where the separations and the differences all start to happen. But the Buddha's teachings are really very firmly in a way of bringing us to a point of practicing to let all of that go, to let go these conditions of life. And we start to do that as we start getting closer into the present moment and understanding the stillness that I've been pointing to here for the last few Wednesday nights. Just that stillness of mind that allows you to become so content and to really start to see the subtlety of the subtlety of the beauty that's there, the beauty and the truth that is right there in the heart of the present moment as your mind becomes still and content. And then just following through with the other hindrances, when the energy starts to balance out nicely, that balance comes in. And that upekkha, the equanimity, is really then starts to show itself. It allows itself to really be there, and you can just be with this contentment, and to really know what this contentment is. And that allows you then to go a little bit deeper again, a little bit further into the stillness, just to allow yourself to really understand what that really means. And then we can start to get down to some of those things that the Buddha talks about, that's really right throughout Buddhism, the three characteristics of all things, just the dukkha, the natural state of dukkha, the way that everything is impermanent, and also the way that things are no self. I mean, most of us know about no self. We know how to speak the word and say it. But how many of us kind of have really looked at and seen what that means? But it is only really deep into the present moment, into the stillness, where you can start to see that, where mindfulness just takes you right there to show you just what it is to not have a self. So all of these paramitas that I've just mentioned here tonight, and all of the way that we can deal with these hindrances in our practice, they're all wonderful aspects of being able to really fully understand what the Buddha was talking about, so that we can go deeper, we can go right down deep into our minds and allow ourselves to understand and see and become the knowing that the Buddha was pointing to. So I know that we want to finish fairly right on 8 o'clock tonight. So what I might do is I might hand over to Louisa just to do the meditation tonight, and perhaps Louisa might even just take us down into that realm of stillness as well, just so that we can all appreciate that a little bit better. Thank you, Eloisa.
You're welcome. Learned this from last time. So yeah, thank you, Dennis, for this comprehensive talk. So many gold nuggets in it, and I'll see what I can weave into it. And what stands out, is also when I was driving here, is love and kindness. Why is it so hard to do this for ourselves? I mean, there's people out there that are really good in it, and yay for you. I'm really glad for you. And there's people that tend to give to others for various reasons. If it's out of joy or out of semi-obligation or out of responsibility. And yeah, I'm glad that you're here. Whoever is listening live or replay, you're taking the time out for yourself to explore and be with yourself. And and soon we'll do a little guided meditation and see where that leads to. And one of the things that Dennis was mentioning is Virija, energy, and generosity, dana. And I like to hook into that because to use this opportunity to announce, well, many of you know that it will be Ajahn Brahm's 70th birthday in August. And soon we'll be needing heaps of volunteers for that. And have a little think about it. And I know it can be quite, maybe you're hesitant, maybe you're not sure if you have the right skills or if you have the right time or you don't want to be locked in, and that's all good. It's all, there's no pressure. And I'll leave an email address down below. It's coco@bswa.org, COCO. If you feel just a slight calling to help out, we need people for the guest speakers, obviously for the food, for audio, we need people on the day, we need people preparing in the next few months leading up to it. And have no doubts, just come with the intention to have a good time as well and to learn. And this is a beautiful opportunity. If you list your skills, I'm sure you'll find a nice position, you'll fall into a nice place where you meet nice people and get to grow out of your comfort zone and put this right energy into it. And this might also generate that nice fuzzy feeling inside of you once you've done something nice. Not because someone asked you to, but just because you want to. And with that light, I like to start the meditation. If you wanted to have a drink of water, now's a good time. So your mind will be not looking for that excuse the next 20 minutes. And there was one other thing. So within the meditation, so I don't know if you're new to this or if you've been here before, but this is my third time. And the first time I did the metta meditation when visualizing someone dear to you. And last week I did it based on Venerable Hasapanya's metta meditation, which is wishing yourself. So if you feel there's a blockage like, oh, but I'm not that great or I don't deserve it, and you wish yourself like, may I feel that peace or may I feel harmonious, and also invite someone into it that you're not that keen about and try to see if you can open the door of your heart and have a certain distance closer than before. That was last week. And so this week, we're gonna go and remember a time where you did something really amazing. And it's not an intellectual exercise, but I like you to recall something. And there is one little thing. It should be something that you had to put effort in. So, for example, there's this lady who I spoke with who's a volunteer, and she was cleaning the meditation hall, and she actually took a day off work. And I was like, oh, all right, wow. And then I asked her, but what would be easier for you? Would you not just donate $200 or rather than work? And she said, no, giving $200 is not a big deal for me. But giving my time and actually going up the ladder and cleaning all the edges and working around all the little creatures that are crawling around, that was for her out of her comfort zone. So she had to really put effort in it. And I never saw it like that, so that opened my eyes. So if you can spend a little time on something that you've done in the past that you had to put a little bit of effort, like a bit out of your comfort zone, and if you feel any feelings of a little bit of frustration, maybe that's okay. Maybe we can convert that into some gratitude, the fact that you were able to do that. So with that, don't overthink it too much, but with that, we'll go and do the metta meditation. And enjoy yourself. And here we go. So we're walking again on this path, and you feel the ground underneath you. And you feel the air on your skin. And this is your time. Nowhere to be, nothing to do. And here we come across this beautiful cave. It is really big and feels really safe. You have a little peek inside. It feels really inviting, and it's nice and cool. And there's this log, and you will sit on it. It's actually quite comfortable. And today, right here, right now, you feel your butt on the seat, and into the ground, you feel your feet are sprouting. Little roots in the ground. And you know this is your land. And you know this is where you belong. For now, for just now. Nowhere else to be, just be. And with that, we acknowledge our ancestors of the land, the traditional owners of your land, the land that you're on right now. The land of Western Australia, is Wajuk Noongar country, past, present and emerging. Thank you for this earth that gives us with so much and doesn't ask for anything. The earth that holds you and keeps you safe. And know that you're rooted in here, right now, this moment. Now with that, think of a time or a day or an action, something you went out of your way, just that little bit, and did something really awesome for someone else. Or for yourself. Whichever comes up first. Now with that feeling, the feeling of generosity, the feeling of you, putting the right energy in it at that moment. Remember that feeling and put it in your heart. And with every in-breath, pump that heart up, pump that up with that good energy. This is the heart that doesn't ask anything of you. It pumps in the background. And sit with the feeling. And if there was any residue of feeling frustrated while you were doing that, convert that and tell to yourself, may I receive the goodness of my well-directed energy. May I receive the peace of my right effort. May I be filled with joy of my right intention that I had at that moment. And for the next few minutes, just sit with that and give this to yourself. I can't do this for you, but you can do this for you. May I feel peaceful with the right view. May I feel joyful with the right generosity. And let the cells in your body fill that up as you feel that, and repeat this to yourself for the next few minutes. And remember what you've done, the good things, the good thing, the nice action, the kind action, the kind view, the choice that you made to change things around for yourself. Yes. What does it look like in your body? Feeling the joy in your cells of your body. Your cells vibrating. Make sure all your cells are filled up with this kindness and this happiness of your right actions. And let's generate this out. Share happiness with others around you. Happiness shared is not lost, it is multiplied. So this feeling that you've just generated in this meditation from a past action, remembering that, you're sharing this, the goodness, kindness, back to others and back to yourself and out to others. And likewise, you receive kindness and joy and harmony and peacefulness from others, their recollection of their good deed, no matter how big, how small. Let it in. It's coming also to you. And wherever you are, rejoice in this feeling. And keep breathing in. And soon you'll come up out of this log, out of the cave. And you're carrying this with you, and you know we're all supported by each other, by everyone doing their work individually. Give yourself a couple more breaths to soak up the goodness of each other, of each other's actions and right view and right effort and right intention. And may you wish yourself well, may I wish myself well. And may I receive peace and happiness. And with this, you walk out of the cave, slowly, slowly. And as I ring the gong 3 times, you will come back here, in your seat, in your bed, in your chair, on your floor. And you'll know it's right in all your cells of your body. You might want to give your heart a little pat. It did its job. You're here. You're safe. And you're here with full of love and energy in your cells, which you're bringing with you. Trust is doing its job. Oh, thank you so much, everyone here, for your beautiful, beautiful presence. And for everyone at home, and you're seeing this in repeat in life, it's well done for doing the work. And yeah, may you be peaceful and may you be kind to yourself. And thank you for joining us. And see you next week.